If you use TikTok well, chances are you might know this TikToker called Mr. Prada, and you've probably seen his face all over the news for all the wrong reasons. He has been accused of killing a 69-year-old man, and he is currently being held in jail for it. Who is this TikToker? And why did he suddenly throw his life out the window by committing murder? It all started on September 29th, 2024, when the authorities discovered a body wrapped in a tarp on the highway in Tangipahoa Parish, Louisiana. The body was soon identified as 69-year-old Williams Abraham, a therapist who lived and worked in Louisiana. Investigators got to work immediately trying to find out the cause of death and who committed the crime. After examining the body, they discovered that Williams had died from blunt force trauma to the head, describing it as a very physical and very violent death. At that point, it was clear that Williams was murdered, and his body was dumped there on the highway. To figure out who was responsible for the murder, investigators interviewed residents of the area where the body was dumped. And that was when some of them mentioned that an unidentified male was seen dragging an unidentified object on a blue tarp into a car on September 28, 2024. The investigators soon discovered that Williams' car was missing and included it in their search. Upon checking the surveillance footage, they discovered that the car was being driven by a 20-year-old male named Terrion Thomas. Although Williams' body was found on September 29th, Thomas was still driving Williams' car until October 1st, 2024. Don't know what he was thinking. That's if he was even thinking at all. But he drove the car straight to the police, who attempted to conduct a stop and search on him. While that was going on, Thomas, who knew he was in trouble, decided to get into more trouble by allegedly resisting arrest and trying to flee the scene. Eventually, the police caught him, and he was held without bond for a series of charges, including resisting an officer, aggravated criminal damage to property, and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. At the time, Thomas had not been charged with murder, but he was the primary suspect in the case. This was all courtesy of the evidence that had been gathered against him over time. Some of them include the evidence of a violent physical altercation, a significant amount of blood, and unspecified weapons found in Thomas's apartment in Baton Rouge. Aside from that, Williams was seen arriving at Thomas's apartment on September 28th, wearing the same clothes that his deceased body was found in. This evidence points to a possible relationship between Williams and Thomas, and has caused a lot of people to question the connection between the two. Although the police didn't talk about this relationship in quotes, news and activities surrounding the two suggest something fishy might have occurred between them. To understand what brought about these speculations, let's travel back in time to dig into the individual lives of the people involved in this case. The TikTok sensation Terrion Thomas has been on TikTok for some years with numerous accounts, which he used to post content that he allegedly copied from other creators, shot for shot. He began gaining traction in 2022 when some creators called him out for this act. And instead of feeling sorry or addressing the issue properly, he responded with an unapologetic attitude. This same attitude quickly spawned into a meme, and soon two of his accounts with the handles Mr. Prada 456 and Mr. Prada 458 gained lots of followers, which has risen to over 8 million followers combined over the years. Before his arrest, Prada hinted that he was going through some terrible stuff, talking about how he was lonely, announcing that his name was no longer Prada and that he shaved off his hair.
Yo, oh my god, look like I got cancer. What the fuck? I look like a cancer patient. What the fuck?
As the behavior became even more apparent, many of his followers started getting concerned about him. However, their biggest shock came as a result of the alleged crime, which many believe is linked to his cryptic posts. The fact that Williams was found dead in Thomas's apartment raised questions about why he was there in the first place, and if there was a possible toxic relationship entanglement. Why should there be that sort of relationship between them, right? The answer to your question is right in the story of Williams Abraham, the controversial therapist. According to Williams Abraham's obituary, he was a lot of things when he was alive. He was a licensed professional counselor, a motivational speaker, a recording artist, an author, and a teacher. Aside from all of that, he was also a Catholic priest for 11 years, and in fact, had regular appearances on local television in Baton Rouge. Before Williams retired from the priesthood, he wrote and performed contemporary Christian rock music in the Baton Rouge area. Although there's not much information about Williams' personal life, he has been described as sweet, gentle, and giving. However, the same man was entangled in a controversy that is currently allegedly tied to this case. Back in 2015, Williams was accused and arrested for inappropriately touching an 11-year-old client during a counseling session. According to the boy, whose name was never released to the public, Williams groped him while they were alone together in his office, and he told him not to tell anyone what happened during the therapy session. During an interview with deputies, Williams denied touching the child inappropriately, stating that the only physical contact he had with the boy was when he put his arm around him after the session. According to Williams' attorney Jarrett Ambo, his client was absolutely innocent and he promised to help him fight hard to save his good name. But did he? In the end, prosecutors declined to take the case to trial, and so Williams was released on bond. Ever since, Williams never had any run-ins with the law. After his death, several TikTok posts have alleged that Prada was the 11-year-old boy in the 2015 case. The assumption was made based on the fact that Prada and the said boy fall in the same age range. Looking at it closely, Prada would also be 11 years old in 2015. And the 11-year-old would be 21 this year, which is the same age as Prada. If that was the case, then Prada probably murdered the man who touched him inappropriately as a child, and there's reason to believe that he probably never stopped. However, if you look at it from another angle, this narrative may not be true. One, according to the 2015 case reports, the 11-year-old started seeing another therapist after the case. Also, Jarrett Ambo has spoken out after the speculations gained traction, saying Prada was not involved in the 2015 case. But even after Ambo's response, there have been speculations that if Prada wasn't the 11-year-old, then he must have been a current client of Williams who was trying to get therapy but ended up being touched by Williams, since he had an alleged record of such. The speculation was a result of Prada acting strangely, as discussed earlier, which indicates he might be undergoing therapy. However, the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office has said there is no evidence to suggest that Prada was a client of Abraham, and assured the public that a motive and relationship are still under investigation. For now, all I know about the case is that Prada was initially charged with second-degree murder and obstruction of justice, but as the case went on, the charge was upgraded to first-degree murder under a Louisiana law that allows the more serious charge when the offender has the specific intent to kill or inflict great bodily harm upon a victim who is under the age of 12 or 65 years of age or older. According to officials, the new charge makes the case eligible for the death penalty in the event of a conviction, should prosecutors decide to pursue that case strategy. This makes me wonder if there's new evidence that shows Prada had the intention to kill Williams and premeditated it. As it stands, the question remains: why was Williams at Mr. Prada's apartment, and why did Mr. Prada allegedly murder him?